Welcome back to Rogue Squadron. We're now doing that one scene every game that involves flying a ship has to do: the battle on Hoth.
Do you knock down the? Do you knock down the?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything you did in Empire Strikes Back, you're doing here.
Yep. As well as what you did in Shadows of the Empire, which came out 2 or 3 years before this.
Yeah, but that was
N64
N64,
game, right?
and this is GameCube.
True.
Yeah,
But
there's a ship there everybody knows, a speeder. Well, actually, I didn't know the name of the ship. I just know it, but I just classify it as that ship
Hoth.
from Empire Strikes Back.
yeah.
Yeah, it's unique in the Star Wars fighter lineup in the sense that it uses harpoons, which means it's probably really outdated and budget priced gear, and it requires a co-pilot for those harpoons.
Unless you're playing a video game like this.
Unless you're it's sort of tacitly understood you've got a co-pilot in the back, but Luke's sort of got itself shot. So yeah. Oh, and it's actually kind of funny because it's really hard to notice this. You might think I think it is that the STAT walker, the chicken walker. I always called it the chicken walker. The chicken walkers were actually in the background of the Hoth battle, but they were barely visible. You didn't really see them until Return of the Jedi, but they were there. Yeah. I'm not sure if that was true of the original. They might have been added in one of the
well,
the
that
later
was
things.
That was the thing the special edition liked to do, was add more background stuff so the battles seemed bigger.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it was a special edition ad or if it was originally in the thing, because when I saw it in the Hoth battle, it was moving in that motion stop jerky fashion that characterized the walkers in
Then it might have been in the original
cuts.
release.
Yeah. Oh, and you get to use the harpoon to trip up the walkers. I love that in the movie. It looks kind of floaty here, though.
Yeah. The camera, since they're going in circles, the camera's always kind of awkward.
Oh God, that animation was terrible.
No, it just looked like the ropes just fell down, and it's like, oh.
This is the part where you fall down, Walker. Oh, okay.
Yeah. The AT-ST walkers are really fragile compared to the bigger AT-ATs, though. So
yeah.
Well, they can be taken down by rocks and sticks, freaking Ewoks. So you know, I'm not surprised.
It's like they're made of tinfoil. And when Return of the Jedi, it literally did look like they were made of aluminum or something. They probably were. Their models probably were, like from a.
So it's like some sort of meta sense of humor.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny to think of old Star Wars special effects in retrospect, because what they were actually doing was playing with like action figures and just sort of flying them around and adding backgrounds as special effects, and that was how the old fighter scenes went. How far we've come since then.
Did you see that? No, Mr. Lucas, I didn't see you playing with your dolls. Okay.
But yeah,
this is important work for the movie.
It's like they'd probably be working with something about as big as the old Millennium Falcon toy that I used to own, and that was an awesome toy. I wish I still had it. It opened up and you could play around in the inside of the Millennium Falcon.
I had a die-hard cast metal Millennium Falcon. I had an X-wing that opened up, and I had a speeder.
Yeah, but the thing I remember most clearly about the Millennium Falcon toy I had was that one of the figures that came with it was
Damn it, Luke, stop doing
hopping.
That.
It was C-3PO hopping around with his leg in its hand.
My friend was really into Lego, so he got the Millennium Falcon that was to scale. If like one of those little minifigures was the size of a normal person, the Millennium Falcon was as big as it would be compared to that. The thing must have cost like $200, and he had it and he made it and he like put it on like a shrine in his room, and nobody was ever allowed to touch it because it was his baby.
Yeah, my uncle has a model Star Destroyer. I think it's one of those that you glue together yourself. So it has a lot of
like those Gundams.
Yeah, I don't know how long it took him to construct it, but he has it on display proudly in one of his shelves. And
don't touch.
Yeah, you're not allowed. Just look at it. Don't even look at it for too long. But it is pretty cool to look at.
I would actually be steadily collecting all the cool Star Wars ship toys that I never got to have as a kid right now, but I just have nowhere to put them.
The conundrum of the
amiibos, everybody.
The nerd conundrum. You don't know where to put all your shit at.
I don't even have room for all of the action figures I've got right now. Like I've got my Konohana Sakia figure awkwardly stuffed on top of a dead Xbox 360 in the back of the room.
No, I'm like that with plushies. I've got like Wario sitting up where I keep my wallet. Bowser sitting on top of the PS3 for some reason. The Kirby stuff's generally on my shelf of my games. It's just I don't have space for all this crap, but I need more.
It's like when I have an apartment on my own, I plan to just have one room dedicated to toys. Like there's a shelf covered in Star Wars ships. There's a Gundam model shelf. There's a Persona shelf and Shin Megami Tensei stuff that I probably have to keep going over and adjusting because Raito Kuzunoha won't stop falling over. God damn it, he just did. He's leaning against the wall with his gun up. That figure is impossible to stand up when it's got his cape on, but the neck looks so ugly without the cape.
I have the Sonic figurine I bought. I have it leaning against the wall because its head's too fucking heavy.
Please tell me they at least animate this correctly while it's a cutscene. No,
We're gonna find out.
not.
Oh, nope.
It looks just as terrible.
And this is the part of the game where we transfer control to Wedge.
Ah.
Oh,
So we've been playing as Luke Skywalker up until now.
We're done playing as Luke, we're Wedge now.
Nobody cares about Wedge.
I care about Wedge, he's very important.
He's
He
Gold
doesn't.
Leader.
No, I
Actually-
barely remember that he exists. He has like one conversation with Luke in the entire.
No, actually, you're thinking of Biggs. Wedge is actually one of the more prominent side characters in the movies. Like he's always the guy they zoom in on when the fighters are doing a thing. And in Return of the Jedi, he was
He was the main X-wing with Lando.
he was the lead fighter, and the entire Rogue Squadron thing is basically his side story. That explains how he got into a command position in Return of the Jedi.
The books and by extension these games are what Wedge is doing while Luke's doing all of his Jedi stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know.
and
I never really cared about him.
Well, I like him more than Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Okay, that I agree there because I never got the Boba Fett thing.
Boba Fett is the definition of someone who's been over glorified by the extended universe because he's in like everything, and there's no in-movie justification for him being that badass. He just sort of got a cult following for no apparent reason, and
The only worthwhile thing of the holiday special.
Yeah, and you know what? I like Boba Fett from what came of all that, but I acknowledge that in the movies he's got basically no presence.
Yeah, you see Wedge do shit though, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why I like him more.
And I think he actually is voiced by Dennis Lawson in this game.
I wouldn't be surprised. I
That's
can look
the
that up,
actor
actually.
for him in the movies, right?
Yes, none of the other voices are their actual actors. So
Okay, well he's probably the easiest one to get, to be completely.
probably.
Well, Mark Hamill probably wouldn't be too hard to find because he'll voice pretty much anything. Really.
Yeah. But Wedge has one of the more recognizable voices out of all the movie voices because he's got a slightly particular way of speaking. So I think it's kind of important that they got the movie actor for him because otherwise, you know, you'd have to have an actor that's doing a cheap imitation of his voice. And
you mean like Luke and Lando and everyone else in this movie?
Yeah. But you know that never turns out well when they've got a recognizable way of speaking. Like Luke, you know, Mark Hamill has a recognizable voice, but not a recognizable accent or dialect or inflection of any kind. And the same could be said of Han Solo. Recognizable voice, not much else to the voice though. Wedge sort of has this way of speaking that's a little harder to imitate.
Yes, they did get Dennis Lawson back for Wedge.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was
And
too
you know-
busy escorting Terra around. Where's its place? Snowy
Not
place.
that Wedge.
Oh.
Different Wedge.
You know, if I had to say anything, I'd say Darth Vader suffers the same problem as Wedge would.
Well,
except
to
in
be
greater
fair,
quantities.
at least his voice is going through a synthesizer a lot. So
It is going through a synthesizer, but at the same time, it's also a very recognizable synthesizer. And you know, as fan thrilled as I am to see that they got Chad Vader to do some of Darth Vader's voice work, at the same time, he's more recognizable as Chad Vader than as Darth Vader. So
I had completely forgotten that Chad Vader existed in a man.
day shift manager.
Yeah, they got Chad Vader to do, I think, Soul Calibur 4, and they got him to do the Force Unleashed version of Vader.
Yeah, because James Earl Jones costs a lot of money.
Yeah, James Earl Jones has a career.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool.
Yes, a career by being on commercials saying "Totes my goats."
it's cool from a Chad Vader fan perspective that they got him to do some Vader voices, and it's also good from a video game perspective because he actually does do a passable Vader. At the same time, though, you would really massively prefer James Earl Jones.
Well, Darth Vader impressions. I think one of the easier ones to do, especially if you have the synthesizer, like the official synthesizer.
Yeah.
Because everybody at least tries to go, Luke, I am your father, even though that's not the actual quote. We get it, but it's just something that people. It's a voice that people want to try to imitate because it's so iconic and badass.
Yeah, it's just the problem with the Chad Vader voice is that it's more fitting to a Darth Vader parody than to an actual Darth Vader.
Yeah, Darth Vader in The Office compared to Darth Vader,
Yeah.
leader of the Empire.
If you would bring me the rebel scum, that'd be great.
I have a question. Those escape ships, do they have an actual name?
They're just ships.
They're just ships. Makes sense. Okay.
Now tell me, what exactly is it do you do here? Just Star Wars Office Space.
I'm pretty sure it's been done, but I like to see it anyway.